Right, more trainer battles on our way to the next major town/city. It's funny to realize just how much time they actually take when you don't have to worry about random encounters or outright mazes to make the trip more complicated. Though, come to think of it, I could also be doing something else right now as well. The inventory space in the first generation is as small as it's ever gonna be for this franchise. And while it's pretty tempting to not use the TM since they just disappear, I'd say this is about as good a time as any to just clear some of those TMs out and make our Pokemon just a little more capable in a fight. Let's see here. Apologies in advance to any higher level players watching this LP, assuming any could stomach getting this far into this LP in the first place. I'm just getting rid of some moves I don't think we're gonna use all that often, while replacing them with moves that feel like they'd do whoever gets them some good. And possibly not get used all that often anyways. At the very least, the way that Marbleback was ripped to shreds in Stadium kinda told me that keeping self-destruct on him is more circumstantial than I had thought. Dear God. Seriously, if you're only keeping a move for the sake of using when you're sure you aren't gonna come out on top of a slugging match, it's a better idea to have it on a Pokemon that can set himself off before the other guy can just rip him to shreds. And while I like a Golem, there's no getting around the fact that it's far from one of the speediest on this team, much less the whole damn game. Going to hold on to Thunderbolt for now, since there's startlingly few electric Pokemon in the first generation that can learn Thunderbolt without it. Sure, I'm not really planning on having an electric member of a red team, but it couldn't hurt to have the option ready just in case. I mean, it's not like Takanabori is going to be weak against anything that will be weak to lightning. Except maybe Articuno, but again, I'm not planning on dealing with the 3 legendary birds or Mewtwo for Pokemon Red. We might run into them in Stadium, but that's a whole different beast. I've given myself more than enough work in this generation without capturing powerful Pokemon that I have no intention of using. Which of course means I'm never going to use the Master Ball, because anything less than those 4 would be ridiculous to use the only surefire catch we have in the game, when the balls sold in stores should suffice for everything else. Assuming, of course, that I'm going to capture anything when we're this many gyms into the game, and have a rather solid team on our side. Granted, this team's got some defensive weaknesses against water, ice, and ground, but that's not all that devastating for us. For one thing, I'm pretty sure that Takanabori could solo even a pretty powerful ground-based team in this generation, especially with Surf. For another, there aren't too many ice types to worry about in this generation. They don't even have a dedicated gym for them, much like the ghost and dragon types. We already cleared the water gym, so while we'll have a number of water types to annoy us as we go to and from Cinnabar, there's nothing on the horizon that's going to make us go, oh shit. Probably should have gotten rid of Dragon Rage instead of Tackle, since Dragon Rage really sucks as a move, especially in this generation. But to be fair, it's not like we've been using Tackle ever since we got Bite. Hell, we've got so many biters on this team that it's a bit of a mercy for Sabrina that the Dark type hasn't become a thing just yet. That's actually one of the reasons I wasn't a fan of the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes, outside of just the fact that they didn't really change enough of the core story or what we'd be expected to run into along our bloody journey. Psychic was brokenly powerful in the first generation, and that made Sabrina quite a trial to overcome. You had to brace yourself long before it, or you would get wrecked. Especially since I like several poison types and the fighting type Machamp. It's funny, getting HM moves in the first generation feels kind of like a subtle encouragement to diversify your team, which prevents gyms from being able to just wipe everyone you've got out in a single devastating move. But in Generation 2, it will start to feel a little more constraining for me. Like, why should I devote a move slot to strength when there's little to no chance I'll ever use it in battle, and there's so many other moves I can put in there? It doesn't help that they added some more HM moves in the second generation onwards, but didn't increase the number of team members you can have with you at a given time. It's the sort of thing where I hate HM slaves, but the sheer number of moves you absolutely need to get through some puzzles in the overworld means you're practically going to be forced to have several team members with 2 or more HMs, which cannot be forgotten or replaced. And ironically, I dropped out of the franchise before we got to the point when the series actually dropped the whole HM move necessity thing. Partly because that wasn't my only issue with the series as it went on. Again, when I was buying copies of the games, I dropped out around the point of Generation 3, and as of when I started working on this LP, we're on Generation 8. On paper, that looks like I missed quite a bit, since, well, that's quite a number of new installments in the main line there. But, as people keep on saying, the series hasn't grown much beyond the humble roots it started from. Sure, Not Rockin' the Boat has done wonders for the series' success, but it doesn't really do much to bring back people who, at varying points and for varying reasons, felt it wasn't worth going on new journeys that were essentially the same as the old ones, just with different bells and whistles scattered here and there. We'll see if me LPing the generations changes my perspective. Though it'll probably be a long time if that's ever gonna happen. Anyway, looks like we can certainly confirm that Rock Slide is a good rock-type move, though the game doesn't give us the information to know just how superior it is to Rock Throw in terms of accuracy and damage. I'm pretty sure that a Rock Throw with sufficient luck would have ended that fight just as quickly, and I really wish, that I could feel sympathy for the bird trainer who is somehow shocked that throwing a bird at a rock led to the rock winning. But all I can do is feel vaguely disappointed, because I can't do a 2 birds in 1 stone joke. A joke that I'm pretty sure I already made in this LP, since we're 52 parts into this game. Again, kind of wish we could see the enemy's health numbers like our own outside of Stadium. Sure, the power's a solid indicator on its own, but still, there's certainly room on this display for more information without feeling cluttered. I see no reason to get Marble back out of here. He's as much on a roll as you can get without actually having the move roll out, which won't come until the next game. Well, technically, disabling Dig was a good move, since that would have been super effective against Muck. But I'm not really going for an especially efficient win against this particular bastard. I'm just fine pounding them with a basic neutral move, because they don't have anything especially effective against Marble back in return, and Tackle has plenty of ammo. For some reason, I was expecting Marble back to level up from that one. Not sure why, but we've got to be close at this point. Not really the lesson the series as a whole goes for, and I've got to admit I wasn't going for the most powerful team I could possibly muster, even though I've got some really heavy hitters here. I just happen to like the movesets and visual designs of a number of powerful Pokemon. I don't have anything really against cute designs, at least outside of the obscene number of Pikachu clones that never got off the ground because they were literally made to try to be cute, but the mascot creature was doomed to get more screen time and love, so they just got swallowed up. Well, it's about time they had enough sense to try poisoning our tank. Actually, is it even right to refer to Marbleback as our tank, when there are several members of our team that can take quite a beating and keep on smacking the enemy around? And with that, Marbleback is done for now. We're certainly going back to the center after this, though again, kinda surprised that Marbleback didn't level up considering how many he added to his score in this clip so far. Hell, he's gotten up to 73, sure, not the top score, but that's still quite a number. Not as big a number as Takanabori's, but still larger than Neo's, despite the fact that Neo is undoubtedly a heavier hitter, especially in this generation. The benefits of being a solid fighter earlier in the playthrough, I suppose. Hell, I think I've said it in an earlier clip, but I can't help being amazed that Phyllis isn't the absolute top scorer, considering he was our starter for this game. He's literally been on our team since the first clip and never left it. But he's been outscored at this point by Kohaku and Takanabori, with Marbleback really coming in strong, making third place feel just that little bit more contentious. At least Kohaku has the excuse that he was one of the other early Pokemon we got in this LP. Which reminds me, I still kinda feel guilty we took Mig out of the team. He was a damn fine fighter and could have easily gotten a good deal more onto his card. Unfortunately, as much as I like Spearow and Fearow in terms of appearance, they just don't have all that much going for them outside of being some solid flying types in this generation. Probably doesn't help that the two best moves for flying type are Peck and Fly. Peck was literally the move he started the game with, so that was doomed to be obsolete by about the mid-game anyway. And while Fly is a good move, and lets you dodge some attacks, I'd still prefer a 2-turn attack to be stronger than that, if possible. And really, it doesn't help that there aren't any real grass or bug-type threats to be worried about after we finish off Erica. Well, it's about bloody time you leveled up in this clip, buddy. I may not do the math for the various numbers and stats being thrown around on a regular basis in this game, but it certainly felt due considering the sheer amount of ass he kicked in this one clip so far. Sorry about the odd sound bit there, just wanted to rearrange where Bite is on the menu here and mistakenly hit the turbo button instead of select. I'm not even sure why I bothered to have a key for turbo for the Game Boy emulator here. It's not like I've actually been using it when I was recording to cut down on the amount of raw footage I'd have to work my way through. That's what the fast forward button on my video editor is for. How many times have we seen a coughing in this clip? Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that some Pokemon are more rare than others, but we've seen so much of coughing that my lungs are starting to sting a bit. Even without the 3 legendary birds, Mewtwo, and let's throw in the fossil Pokemon as well, I'm pretty sure there's still 142 Pokemon to work with. Though I suppose my math could be a bit wrong. I'm writing the script for this clip pretty late at night after all, still. Even though we've taken down an obscene number of trainers in order to get an overall score of 490 at this point, more than 3 times the variety of Pokemon that are even in this game, sometimes it's easy to get sick of seeing the same few suspects over and over and over again. Like, come on! We could see a few more of the snakes and less of the floating gas bags at the very least. And I apparently forgot to take Marble back off the front of the list. Not really a major mistake since we're gonna win this battle with ease anyway, but still, some of the others could use some screen time in this clip. And while we're past the halfway point, it's still a long clip that I had to give a bit of an abrupt ending to, since my next save isn't in a convenient enough time to prevent me from going over the half-hour mark here. Yeah. Well, at least when they miss, they don't give the message multiple times in a row. Sorry, lady, anyone I wanted to trade in this team has already had that done it to them. And I see no reason to do any more trading in this game. Well, of course you do. I'm not sure how you would go about trading with your enemies, though. Not the worst move in the game, but not really something it feels worth giving. Can't help wondering what made them decide what moves to put as TMs, and of course why they made those TMs. For the most part, things are one use only, and you can never buy or find another within the same with the same frickin' technique. Yeah. I somehow doubt it was due to balance reasons, especially considering how many other balance issues the original Pokemon had. I might have mentioned this before, but it's kind of ridiculous to see someone with a motorcycle on its sprite when the overworld makes it look like a pedal-run bicycle. It's not really a major issue considering the game cartridge was literally stuffed to the point they had no room for anything more, but it still feels a little amusing. Okay, that coffin is certainly a stubborn one. Still doesn't stand a chance, but it's hard not to be surprised when the health bar is down to the smallest possible sliver visible. Well, if you have that attitude, then I'm afraid you're in the wrong world. Raising Pokemon is the entire thing that everyone does here. There doesn't even seem to be really an age limit for when people can start raising Pokemon, just a limit for when they can start the local league challenge and start collecting badges. Yeah. Okay, was kind of hoping that previous path would be more to it than just a grassy field. Again, this far into the game, I'm generally satisfied with my team setup. At best, I might be looking for one elusive type of Pokemon to fill a certain role, but otherwise, I am not gonna keep on stocking up Pokeballs to keep searching for more to add to the bloody Pokedex. While part of me wants to feel guilty for leaving Professor Oak hanging like that in this game, especially since he outright claimed seeing them all was his bloody dream, the reward for collecting all 150 just doesn't feel worth it, and it's not helped by the fact that every generation adds more to the overall list, making the already intimidating looking number of 150 seem small in comparison to the next number. Hell, just how long would it take to catch them all by the time you get to the 8th generation? Especially when so many were just plain not available in any way, shape, or form in the original release of Sword and Shield. Have I mentioned that I think that Sword and Shield was absurdly botched, even though I haven't been an active Pokemon player since Generation 3? It's just kind of funny how disappointed I was to hear all the complaints about that entry in the series, and to watch some of the various other people play through it to confirm that yes, after all these years, and with so much more power and screen space on the Switch than any of their other systems, the Pokemon somehow seems more limited than many of their earlier entries. Now, I've had my fair share of complaints about other long-running series like Final Fantasy and Resident Evil over the years. But even when I wasn't grabbed by a particular entry, I could respect that they were trying to change things up, and maybe that formula didn't work in that particular instance. It's one thing for a long series to go in a direction you aren't all that interested in, so you feel a bit left behind. It's another for them to stay so stagnant, then yet another remake of the first generation. I mean, seriously, I'd remake Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu somehow felt more innovative and polished than the latest installment, which should have been the one to get the most work put into it. Part of me thinks I should do something to replace all the tackle attacks I still have on the team, especially since we have plenty of other pretty accurate normal moves. Not an especially swift victory, but it was still rather one-sided in our favor, despite the fact that a Pidgeotto should have had the edge against a bloody Venusaur. Not as confident in Phyllis being able to take on Fearow, though, since it will have some flying-type moves to use, like Peck, even if that move isn't particularly damaging this far into the game. I've probably said this before, but I really wish there was some way we could know just how much overkill we did on a Pokemon. Just another random curiosity that will never be satisfied. Well, it took long enough for the first generation to outright mention that one. I mean, sure, Misty back in Cerulean said that Bubble Beam should go to a water Pokemon, and I think Surge said something similar for an electric type, but the way they worded it sounded like they were just, felt that their specific type was better in general. Understandable, since, well, water was literally Misty's element, just as lightning was Surge's. Still, I can't help finding it more than a little absurd that we're still getting the occasional informational bit of dialogue telling us how the game works when we're on our way to the 6th gym in a region with 8. Again, I know this is the first installment of the entire franchise, so they're all allowed to have some missteps and mistakes, but I would think they would try to get all the informational stuff done with by the time we beat Brock back in the first gym. But then, I suppose that's assuming that bit of dialogue was meant to be informational, instead of just some more filler text. That is what a lot of the dialogue with unnamed trainers has felt like in this game, just outright filler for the sake of people talking. And that's been kinda driving me nuts, since the game has been rather lacking in terms of characters and character interaction, which makes it easier to notice just how little world building there actually has been in this game that started it all. Sure, that gave the later installments more freedom to expand on things however they wanted, right down to literally having an overall god Pokemon show up at one point, but as awesome as that might be, it just doesn't really scratch the right itch. And as someone who typically enjoys a lot of character interaction and world building whenever possible, there's a reason this game has felt like it drags on for me. Drags on to the point that I had to take multiple breaks over the course of a massive LP, but I'm gonna definitely push my way through the rest of the game before doing any other audio projects. Right, definitely looks like Razor Leaf is doing more damage to the birds than Tackle, despite the fact that Tackle doesn't have to shoot through a resistance there. Actually, a little funny how that works. Kind of wish we had a better means to teach our Pokemon moves, but I suppose that's something that will have to come later in the series, if at all. Anyway, going to cut this clip off the instant we're done fighting this guy. Again, the points when I saved were oddly paced out, to the point that my usual method of choosing when to end a clip would have left this looking somewhere around 34 minutes or something. Sure, 27 minutes is still a bit of a long clip, but it still feels relatively digestible to me. Well, I see no reason to pull Phyllis out of here. I've probably mentioned this before, but it's astonishing just how much easier the battles are in the main game than they are in Stadium. Here, the worthy opponents are few and far between, whereas in Stadium, the easy wins are what's rare. Right, Marbleback, close things for us here today. Thank you kindly for that one, buddy.